Pod Candy,
a podcast about cults, crimes, and killers. The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix looks at the real case from Ocala, Florida, involving Ajika A.J. Owens and her neighbor, Susan Lawrence.
The documentary lays out how tensions built over routine issues, complaints about noise, kids playing nearby, and repeated disputes that escalated over time.
Police records, body cam footage, and 911 calls show how many times authorities were contacted before anything violent happened.
And then on June 2nd, 2023, Lawrence fired a shot through her locked front door, killing Owens, a moment caught only through the aftermath on police cameras and witness accounts.
The documentary relies almost entirely on real documentation, letting the footage and official reports show how the situation spiraled.
And ultimately, Lawrence was convicted of manslaughter, a devastating end to a conflict that never should have reached that level.
The documentary examines the warning signs, the conflict's escalation, and the legal consequences that followed.
Outside my window, it's only raining. When the wind blows, I feel pain. I don't need no doctor, baby, I'm not sick. My body's been locked up, heartbroken ever since.
Really, Stacey, like this is one that you, I think, brought to our attention. I had seen it on Netflix, but it was one of those that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch it. And then you mentioned it, and it was really difficult to get through.
It was really difficult to watch. So, for our audience who may or may not have watched The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix, it's a one-off. It's like an hour and a half. And it's extremely detailed because they have actual footage of the events that happened in this little kind of community of homes with a big park in front where kids would go outside and play. And when we're talking about playing, we're saying playing football, wrestling, racing each other, playing hide and go seek, tag, children's games that we all wish our kids would go outside and do now. I mean, if my kids were outside in the park playing football for 3 hours, and they're going to make noise. They're children. But these were children who were not badly behaved, and they weren't, maybe they did a ding dong ditch. I mean, who didn't? But seriously, this woman who lived there Susan would not let it go. She would not let it go.
Yeah, she wouldn't. Okay, so I'm going to say probably something controversial here.
That's fine. That's what we're doing this for.
Yeah, and it's not like, obviously the ending was that the woman.
Wait, you're not going to say that Susan is hot. Okay, sorry.
That would be great. That would didn't even cross my mind. But honestly, Stacey, I do not think that. However, that is a good controversial statement.
Sorry.
No, what I was going to say is, I don't have children, but I don't think that the comment that I'm going to make really pertains to that. Mm-hmm. However, I have lived in a multi-unit condo building for a very long time, and this was like freestanding homes, but I would be annoyed if anybody was constantly making noise, constantly antagonizing me, constantly when I am like, okay, this is my home, this is my land, I guess, whatever the property lines were, and they kept crossing that, right? So I'm not saying that I would ever shoot anybody, and that's like disgusting. But I do blame, as I believe you do too, the police. This was a woman who was at her wit's end, the Susan Lawrence. She kept calling and calling. I had neighbors myself who lived below me at a previous residence who were drug addicts, and they were very into sex parties. And for 2.5 years, I lived in hell. I heard them at all hours of the night. They were beating each other up. They were always having parties. And I did not know what to do. I contacted the police. I kept telling my board. Eventually, I sold the home and left, which comes to question why Susan didn't just get out of there. So react to some of this, but these are the things, like, from my personal view, I get Susan's side. I don't condone at all her shooting anybody, but she should have maybe gotten some help from the police so that it didn't escalate to this.
Yeah, there was a lot of okay, I hear you. And I have had experiences in my life where I've lived in condos or units, apartment units, where there's been tons of noise up and below and side to side, and parties late. And my son complains of, there's a frat house next to his dorm and it's loud. And when you're trying to sleep, it really sucks. It's almost as bad as your husband snoring. I don't have a husband. So anyway, I understand her frustration. The cops came. This is the part that I agree with you on about the cops. The cops kept coming and coming. They talked to AJ and all the families with the children that lived in the area, the little, let's call it a cul-de-sac area, where there's a bunch of homes and then a common area with a park across the street, and everybody has this little courtyard. So the thing that's disturbing about it is we're dealing with, not drug addicts. And I'm not negating what you're saying. I agree with you. I've had this experience. Drug addicts and, hookers and fighting, just kids playing. And yes, they should have figured out, maybe compromised and figured out, the kids will play from 1 to 3, and then you'll have a break, and they won't be out there after hours screaming and all that stuff. But nothing, everything was so disjointed, and the cops came and they would talk to this side and talk to her and talk to this side. The thing I'm not understanding is, why didn't they recognize that this Susan woman was getting really mad and getting she was a little off, it wasn't a normal woman, not normal. And I don't, she seemed just a little bit unhinged, and the way she was responding and swearing at them, and that just got ugly. So that's the part that I do think the cops failed at.
Yes, I agree with you that I agree with everything that you're saying, Stacey, but she didn't seem to me off in the footage that was shown, except for when she screamed when the cop tried to get into her house. The cop was like, "Come on out, Miss Lawrence, come." And she was like, "What?" And then she explained that she was attacked earlier. So never on camera did I see her go crazy with the kids. I heard her calling the police for help over and over again. But I guess I don't know. That was, I think, my, kind of, I didn't know how crazy she was. Do I think it really got to her and that's a little nuts? Yes. But again, I've been in that situation. I would never let it get to violence like that. But I get her frustration, because if things don't stop and you're constantly asking for help and you're getting a bit antagonized, where are you supposed to go? So maybe we would all get a little crazy.
I'm having problems with the neighbors' children. They come up to me and just scream like idiots. And I finally, I lost my nerve today. I just couldn't take it anymore. I called the kids retards. Then the mother comes screaming at me, "Don't call my children retards. I'm going to put you in a nursing home." Is there anything I can do with these people? Because they're getting ridiculous. I mean, I don't bug anybody. I'm a single woman. I work from home. You know, I'm peaceful and quiet. I'm like the perfect neighbor. You barely ever see me.
Number 3. I think 1 and 2's on that side.
It's an open field for them to go play.
It's not an open field. It's two parcels that one belongs to him, one belongs to the neighbor. It's not an open lot.
Okay, so it doesn't even belong to you.
I understand.
Okay, so we've instructed the kids to not bother you.
Okay.
Or if you come out and you say something to them, they're supposed to go get their parents and
what about her threat that she's going to come and drag my ass and beat me?
well, that's not what she said, according to her.
Oh no, that honest to God, she said
Okay,
that.
well, at the end of the day, it's she said. And on top of what the kids said that you had came out and you were coming at them in an aggressive manner and they thought that you were going to hurt him. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I have to believe you, but I also have to believe them.
But what is the law there? That's the issue, right? The stand your ground law with the shooting, and you stand your ground, you know, you're saying like, no one's coming after me, but I'm in my place. Stop knocking on my door. Stop coming to my door. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. And she shot. So that's the issue. And maybe Dr. John knows about this more, about that stand your ground law too, that I don't understand as much about.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
I think somebody just got shot. I heard one shot and everybody screaming, "Call the police, call the police." And I think somebody got shot. Hey, that boy, stay over here! Hey, somebody call 911! Yes.
My neighbor has been screaming at the kids outside, and all of a sudden I heard what to me sounded like a gunshot.
It's the old lady that always calls the cops over here.
Alright, and it looks like we're receiving multiple calls in reference to this also.
911, what is the address?
Somebody got shot. His mom got shot. Hey, is your mom laying in the grass? Yes!
When she finally shot the woman, who,
AJ.
by the way, yeah, you know, she was shooting through a closed door, correct?
Right, correct.
So, you know, she didn't know it was on the other side. And I know that it wasn't premeditated, obviously, but she had the gun. I just think that is so dangerous. It's so crazy to not know what you're shooting at and to shoot blindly.
100%.
There was also that thing about putting the dog in the van, and she said they put this giant scary dog, and then it wasn't a giant dog. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, they said the kids put like a puppy in there. But you know what? Did you feel like I felt when the police kept visiting over and over again?
Yes.
They kind of treated it like, no big deal. Hey, I want to be your buddies. Hey, kids, I'm going to be your buddy. And hey, everybody.
I'm a policeman.
Except I get it that this woman, you know, don't go by her lawn anymore. Well, they kept doing it. So that didn't work. So why didn't the police escalate it where they said, hey, everybody, I never saw any footage of the police being like, let's bring Susan Lawrence and all the kids and the parents in the neighborhood. Let's get everybody together. And let's discuss this. And
yes,
maybe
that's exactly right.
De-escalate the issue where it wouldn't have gotten to the point of murder.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Why didn't they bring them all to the station? Why didn't they take the adults and that adult, bring them together and say, we need to have like, you know, sort of an intervention in this situation so that Susan doesn't feel this way and your kids can also play. I don't think Susan is a great person in general. She's a liar and she's just gross. But I do think that maybe in the beginning, if she had been, you know, talked to and felt like she was being heard, then it might not have gotten to this place.
Bingo.
You know?
Bingo.
So,
I think
you
she
know,
was never being heard. Bingo.
she was never being heard. But then, so the reason it was so hard for me to watch was that little boy. That little boy who lost his mom.
Yeah.
So he was the one who saw it. He's this kid, little adorable kid. I don't remember how old he is, maybe 8 or 9 or 10.
Okay, baby. Yeah, she's moving. It's okay. I'm beautiful.
I want to see her.
So right now she's going to the hospital so that way they can take better care of her than what I can do right here, okay? At the hospital they have all the fancy machines and equipment that we don't get in the field. Alright, so you can't see her right now, but as soon as we can, we'll try to make that happen, okay? Alright. You're being so strong. Very proud of you. So can you tell me what happened?
So I was going to get my tablet from over there because we was playing the game. She had my tablet. I said, put down my tablet.
The lady in apartment 3?
Yeah, she put it down and then started tried to throw the roller skates at me. And then I got my brother. He said, throw the stuff at me, throw the stuff at me. And then she called both of us a Jack A-word. And so I got my mother. She kept on banging on the door. She shot her.
All right, are you hurt?
No.
Okay.
Well, my heart is broken.
I know, sweetheart. It's okay, baby. It's okay. She's gonna be okay. She's gonna be okay.
The parents are divorced, so his mom was shot. His dad shows up, and his dad has to tell him, you know, about almost toward the end of the documentary that she had, because he thought she might live, but that she had passed. And I felt like I could feel the kids panic, and he wanted to run away, and the dad grabbed him, and it was just really sad and dark, and just talk about ruining a group of people in a generation of, you know, that kid's life, you know, and everyone around them. It was so hard to watch. I had to keep pausing it because I just was feeling for that little boy.
There was a lot of, it was very sad. There was a lot of frustration watching it, and also of these people that this was happening to, because the parents were frustrated. The kids were frustrated. They couldn't play, or they constantly were getting, you know, told, like, call, you know, the police would come when they were playing anywhere near the woman's house. Why didn't the police say, this is your property line, get them all together? We don't, and, you know, the parents did kind of, you know, and I get it, because like, you want your kids to play, like you said, you want, like, they're playing, they're not out there, like, you know, selling drugs or getting into trouble. They're literally wanting to play. Yes. However, this woman, Susan Lawrence, was like, this is my property line. You are not, and is that bitchy of her? Of course it is. However, she kept saying it over and over again. They are coming onto my property. The parents didn't seem to be like, hey, don't, you know, please don't go to her house. Please don't go to her property. They were like, it's okay. And then they got frustrated when Susan kept calling the police. So it was always going to be a never-ending cycle. Unfortunately, it wound up in murder, which is the worst possible outcome, where a son sees his mother dead.
It's awful. And, you know, as a mom now, you know, I grew up with a mother who would say to me, don't honk, they might shoot you. Don't do this, you might get shot. Like, I don't know if that's a Jewish mother thing, but, you know, I'm always aware of that. And I feel like as a mom, I'm not dissing these moms for not saying this. I'm not commenting on them. I'm commenting on me. If my kid kept going over to my neighbor's house and bothering him, I would tell them, you can't do that. You cannot go over there anymore. It's off limits. We have to have some rules and some boundaries about this, because you gotta respect the adults that are also living here. We all have to live in harmony. Yes, there's a common area. But again, like in the dorms, the common area was only open from this time to this time, and you couldn't be in it after that because of everyone else's personal space. So I just feel like, as a mother, I would have been scared of the woman at a certain point. I would have been scared.
Really.
I was
I
getting
think
scared.
I'm very curious to hear what the doctor in the green room has to say
Yeah,
about a lot of this,
so am
because
I.
I think he can really shed some light on maybe both perspectives, and just
Yeah,
from a, a
psychological.
psychological, side of
Hmm.
things. So I think he's on the ground right now, crawling around looking for a cookie. Doctor, are you there?
I'm
Are you there,
opening the door
doctor?
as we speak because do you provide any heat in the screen room? It's cold as hell.
No, no, we have some space heaters. We'll bring them in next
It
time.
sure woke
Sorry
me up,
about
though,
that.
I'll tell you that. Besides this topic, which is, exciting and incredible. I always like to start by commenting on the documentary itself, and interesting production, and the sense, as Stacey said, it was like almost exclusively, I think maybe exclusively, the body cams of the police, and then of course the video running in the police station where they're interrogating Susan Lawrence. So very interesting. But again, here's where we come in, because there was no explanations, there was no understanding of what was going on. So here's where Pod Candy comes into our contribution here, because let's talk about what the heck was going on here. And I like Dory's point too, about the noise and the kids and how aggravating it is. I think we've all lived in situations where, somebody or somebody else was making noise. And I have to say, also reveal to you both, you may not know this, but I kind of grew up in an area like that in the inner city of Chicago. We played on the streets. It was a predominantly African-American community. I also had a neighbor like Susan Lawrence. I'm going to change his name. Let's call him Joe. And he was a neighbor that just was obsessed with his grass. And if you could see his grass, you'd joke, because it wasn't grass like you see in a suburban home. There was plotches of bareness. The grass was like it was hideous. But he would tend to his grass, and when we missed the ball, whether it be a baseball, football, soccer ball, and it went on his grass, out of nowhere, this guy would come out and scream at us, and he would even take our balls and confiscate them. But here's the interesting thing, which I think it points out what both of you were talking about. He was a total pain in the ass to us. There's a couple things to say about this, which pertains to the documentary. One is that his tactics, like Susan's, only just made things worse. Because what did we do? We just, when our ball went on this guy's grass, we would kind of jump on the grass or just kick his grass to make it worse, and then stick our tongue out at his house. It's like, what kids do, right? In the documentary, this one little boy, I saw it, and granted, I was identifying with a lot of the things the kids were doing. He'd stick his booty out, and he made a little booty shake to the lady when she came out. I don't know if anybody noticed that. And that's the kind of thing we do. Susan didn't realize that all she's doing is inflaming the situation. And I agree with your comments on the police, which I'll get to in a second. But back to Dory's comments about, the noise and the aggravation of it. Yes, there was, it's certainly something that irritates people to the core, because we get tired, we're exhausted, and then they have this happen. You don't get any rest, so it just exacerbates whatever anxiety, whatever exhaustion you have inside. So I totally agree. In the police, again, I think you're right. At first, when I was watching the documentary, I'm going, boy, these police have the patience of Job. They keep going over there and, okay, ma'am. But you're right. There was no solution offered here. There was nothing like, let's call up the owner of this land that the kids are playing on. Maybe we can come to a solution or put up a fence or a temporary fence. It was a vacant lot, basically, next to all of these houses. And maybe there should have been a fence put up or some kind of better demarcation that, the kids shouldn't play there. But I will say, I thought overall, another thought I had as I was watching it, this was a good community. These people were together, except for Susan. She was an outlier. She was the only white person in the whole community.
Well, she wasn't the only white person. There was the mother, one of the mothers.
Right, but that was a mixed.
It was a predominantly.
It was a mixed,
Black
it was
community.
A mixed race household.
Yes.
If you notice,
yes.
Yeah. But she was an outlier. She was alone, lived alone, and owned her property. It was hinted that she owned and everybody else was renting. So I think that is another aspect psychologically to what she was going through. This is my house. You're disrupting my house. And the kids did pull pranks on her. Like I think this whole thing of leaving the skates or throwing the skates by her door, trying to put the dog in her bed of her truck. They again, but it was exacerbated by Susan's actions. This is what kids do when an adult is poking the bear, so to speak. It was that kids are going to do this. I also agree that the parents probably could have been stronger, as Stacey was saying, with controlling the kids. Leave the lady alone.
Yeah.
This is really getting old.
Yeah. At a certain point, it gets annoying and obnoxious, which I agree. I totally agree with you, Dori. I mean, it's almost like you get this rage when you're being not able to fall asleep and you're not able to concentrate. Because I have that in my regular life now, even.
It's not even though the falling asleep, though, too. It is a constant. It was I think I related a little more because it was like a constant, antagonizing of somebody. Like, we know this person doesn't want us to be here or anywhere around her, but you know what?
Yep.
We're going to play around with it. So again, I'm not condoning at all what she did, but
any violence, right?
And John, maybe you're the neighbor guy too, with the bad lawn that never wanted you around it. It sounds like these are like very tightly wound people that may be people that do live alone. And again, because I'm the same way. I live alone. I like control of things. So that's why I think I saw it in a way that I did. Again, not condoning the murder, but I understand where Susan Lawrence was coming from. She should have been left alone. She was never going to be happy when people were constantly antagonizing her. So just leave her alone.
Yeah, I agree. And, I didn't finish my story, which I meant to, because with this neighbor, Joe, my dad had to go over and confront him and had words with him. But let me tell you, as this went on, everybody lived in harmony with Joe. We grew up, got to be a little older. We didn't play in the streets anymore. We were in school sports and didn't need to play on the street and stuff like that. And I would say hello to Joe. I think I was a preteen and I was friendly with Joe and, hey, Joe. And he had
So how did it get to that point, though? Like, how did it get to the point of harmony when he was constantly furious?
I think
because
what you just said, Dori, we left him alone.
You just left him
at a certain point. We left him alone. We were careful not to, have our ball go at his house. And I think he kind of got tired of it as well. I think he got tired of bounding out of it. He literally would bound out of his, he was a retired city of Chicago bus driver. And he would literally bound out of his house and go chase us and grab the ball. I think
I see that as Susan, like coming, like being like almost waiting for it, you know, like,
Yeah.
like looking through the window, being like, oh, they're getting so close to the, oh, I'm gonna go call the police. I'm gonna go tell them, get out of here.
Yes. Yes.
911, what is the address emergency?
I got kids trespassing again. They're leaving all the toys around. They just screaming, yelling, just being absolutely obnoxious. I went and threw the roller skates over to the other side. The kid says I'm going to beat you up for that.
Is he out there right now?
Yeah, there are several kids out there right now, and I'm fearing for my life. I'm very scared.
Was there any weapons involved?
No. And the kid's saying I took his iPad and all this other shit. It's just absurd. I don't like the kids threatening me that they're going to beat me up, that they're going to get someone else to kill me. And this is just ridiculous. They just keep badgering me. I'm just sick of these children. Now that they're home from school, it's like, you know, craziness.
All right, do you want you to avoid that person and then keep your doors and windows locked? An officer will be dispatched as soon as possible. Do you want the officer to contact you?
Please, yes.
All right.
Because what's going to happen is his mom's going to go out and wait for the officer and run and say, oh my God, I was threatening her kid, which just isn't true.
All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but please call us back if anything changes or if you get any further information or if they do leave, okay?
Okay, thanks.
So let's talk about her dynamics. Again, I think this is where Pod Candy's contribution comes in, to put in, you know, a little background into people like this rather than just, you know, like this documentary. Nice documentary. I'm not knocking it, but it didn't give any explanations why. You know, it just kind of recited the facts and you know, let's fill in the details, everyone on Pod Candy here. Angry woman. Let's do a little forensic psychology here. Lives alone, older, not very attractive. She did sneak in there one time. I didn't quite believe it, but she said to the policeman in one of the police visits, well, I've been attacked and raped, so I'm just, you know, live in fear. I don't know. The way she spewed that out, I didn't really believe it. That's not what somebody says, and the way she said it is not what a victim sounds like. So I didn't really believe that. I think she was trying to emphasize that, you know, I'm afraid. She didn't even look afraid to me, ever. She looked more in command, and again reminded me of my neighbor Joe, who was just angry, bitter, and I think, again, if we spin some theories on Susan, single woman, bitter, some trauma happened in her life. Was it a bad relationship? What is she doing alone? Why did she pick to live in that community?
And why didn't she ever sell her place or move when, like, well, one thing I did want to ask, is your neighbor Joe still around? He sounds right up my alley. But also, why?
Thankfully, because of the success of my career, I have moved away from that neighborhood.
All right. Well, hey Joe, if you're you know, pseudonym Joe, if you're listening, there's a lady on Pod Candy that'd be interested in meeting you. But
and how is your grass?
I don't know if Dori, I don't know if Joe would make
good one, Stacey. But I ended up moving out of my terrible situation. Like, I couldn't take it anymore because nobody was helping me. So I ended up leaving. It sounds like she was going to stay there till the very end. Like, that's the mindset I don't understand.
Well, I think this also, in a very bizarre way, was a mission for her, was a purpose for her. She was on a mission to stop this. Okay, that's what I mean. You get a single person living alone, Doesn't seem like she worked. There was no mention that she was home all the time. So what has she got to do, just like Joe, but to be watching for this, like you said, Dori, she'd open her blinds, which Joe did, by the way, and he'd be watching out for us to see if we were playing ball, etc. And every once in a while, we'd give him the finger, of course. This becomes, in a very paradoxical psychological way, a mission or a purpose in life. She was on a vendetta to.
Wouldn't you like to, though, have known a little bit more about her, like you said?
Absolutely.
Like, what was her background? And the fact that you said, and I appreciate your view on this, that when she just blurted out that she was attacked and that's why she yelled, we really don't know, right? Like, we don't know. She could have been, and she may not have been. Like, it could have just been a convenient statement.
Yes.
But we know nothing about her, and that's, I think, where I enjoyed the documentary quite a bit, but because I loved all of the footage from the body cams, but I think they really missed something by finding out more about her and maybe why she was the way that she was and why it affected her so much that she was constantly being bothered.
I agree with the judge, where the judge said this was not done out of fear. It was done out of anger.
Yes.
And I think we have an angry, bitter woman, broken for some reason psychologically by some trauma or some culmination of events in her lives that makes her angry, lonely, bitter woman.
And triggered by shit,
Yeah.
like triggered by kids yelling and talking. And again, kids don't usually antagonize people unless the adult is being rude or, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's what I meant earlier, Stacey, about that she poked the bear because the kids just want to play.
Yeah.
They're involved in their games, and
they just want to play and have fun.
We didn't want to deal with Joe, but when he came out and was an ass to us, we're giving him the finger and sticking our tongues out at him and yelling at him for taking our balls, because.
I mean, nobody wants their balls taken, John.
No. I've had my balls taken and it was very difficult.
I think I've become, what is that called in the setup man, the straight man for Dori's humor.
Yes, you are the straight man for Dori's jokes.
Yeah, and especially in those days, we only had one ball.
You had a ball,
ball.
and a
we
stick.
We didn't have a whole, sports locker to go in.
Right.
So when Joe took the ball, the game was over, so.
Right. What a party pooper.
Yeah. So it became, then it becomes a battle, right? It's us against the neighbor who's doing these things. And that's what you saw in the documentary. And I think the mom, and again, I didn't think about this till this very second, but the mom did what my dad did with Joe. She's knocking on the door, trying to say, why are you throwing things at my kids? Because that's what really precipitated AJ for knocking on her door that night, is because Susan threw something at the kids in this one particular incident of the noise. And so mom went to her door, like my dad did with this Joe, and wanted to say, don't mess with my kids. And you saw the Reverend Al Sharpton at the funeral talk about this. Thought that was pretty cool to have Al Sharpton give a sermon at her funeral and talked about moms standing up for their kids. That was really a powerful statement. And that's what AJ was doing. And she gets shot for it. It's just such a tragedy.
Ugh. Yeah, because you get passionate. You want to stand up for your kids.
I have the question about the stand your ground laws. What does that mean? Like, they weren't like going at it with like the mother, AJ, was outside, and Susan thought, which from her perspective, that they were going to come in and hurt her and she just shot through the closed door. So is that stand your ground? And is it only in Florida? Is this a law that, I guess it's like a rare law though, right? It's not everywhere.
It's not that rare. There's many.
Are you looking it up, Dori?
Have this law.
I am.
Okay.
It's about half of the United States that have it.
Yeah. And here's what it is that if someone is on your property, you have the right to defend yourself. And it would be self-defense if you feel threatened by somebody who comes onto your property.
Gotcha.
But interestingly enough, audience, what the police drew out of Susan is that she was looking up this law days before this shooting took place. So she knew that she could do this, attack somebody who is on their property.
So it is premeditated.
Yes.
So it was premeditated. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So she thought about doing that.
Yeah, that was
Why
key.
does she have a gun?
2 guns. Crazy. Well, that's our our gun laws, and people are fearful. I have a patient in Texas who a woman. She was single for a long time. Now she's got a partner, but she carried a gun in her purse all around Texas because she was just fearful of the world. People are afraid. People are afraid in the world, and so Susan had 2 guns, and and wasn't it poignant with the little boy at the night of the shooting? So starts screaming, "This is why guns are bad." I don't know if you heard that. It was very but it was like
everything about that little boy. I just wanted to embrace him. I was like thinking, how could I find out how to give him like college money?
Yeah,
because I just want him to be. He just seemed so. I don't know. There was something about him that was just so vulnerable and open, and
which brings me to another statement that the Reverend Sharpton mentioned in his eulogy. He said, be fantastic, be wonderful in your life, because this is the legacy of what your mom wanted.
The night that it happened, I fell asleep in my auntie's car. And when I was dreaming, she appeared as an angel.
Don't grow up feeling guilty. Don't say mama wouldn't have died if it wasn't for me. No, mama chose to stand up for you. Because mama knew if she allowed people to degrade you and she not stand up for you, that you'd grow up with a feeling that you were something that could be degraded. She chose you over her. That's what mothers do. Because I want you to go and be everything she wanted you to be.
And so, like you said, I hope that little boy is a success in life and can use this to, motivate himself and to be a success. By the way, on this whole issue of stand your ground, we had an episode of this in our own area, everyone. I don't know if you both heard the story of the cleaning lady who went to the wrong house, and was shot and killed.
I do.
Here we have the story, for just to explain to our audience, a Hispanic cleaning lady and her husband, she got the wrong address for a new client of hers for her cleaning service. And she rang the doorbell of an individual, I think that was in northern Indiana, and the homeowner shot her, fell into her husband's arms and died. Because she rang the doorbell at the wrong address.
So that, because you said like that she was Hispanic. So and with this, documentary as well, it was, a Black community where a couple of white people were there do you think that on Susan's end it was racially motivated? I know that they talked. I know when the parents and the kids kept calling her a Karen, which we all know what that means. Do you guys feel that this was because I really don't know. I really don't know.
I do. Throughout the whole documentary, even from the very beginning of the first calls, the neighbors said that Karen used the N-word vigorously. And
I want to say that I think she was. This is my opinion. So
and her name is Susan, but they kept calling her Karen. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, right. She's a Karen.
Yeah, she's a Karen.
Her name wasn't right, which is a term for like an annoying white woman. I do think that her sense of entitlement over these people was obvious. I feel that her anger, like if they had been, and I think every person is equal, okay? But if they had been her equals, white people that had a lot of money or something, would she have been as free to complain and do all these things? Or did she feel that she had the entitlement because of her race, which I don't agree with? I'm just saying, is that a possibility?
The one momentary little glimpse of insight or explanation that the documentary gave us was at the very end in a written, statement at the end saying, and I wrote it down, white people are more likely to be successful in self-defense claims when they use the stand the ground laws to attack a black person. Interesting.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The other stat they wrote was that since the initiation of these stand your ground laws, they've been linked to an increase of from 8 to 11% increase in homicides around the United States.
I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's giving people permission.
Yeah.
And people, isn't this country about, uniting? And now we're just shooting people because they look different or they come to our door. They're at the wrong place. How about not opening the door?
Yeah.
How about opening the door crack and saying, if somebody comes to my door and I don't recognize them and I know that there's somebody that's not really supposed to come over here, I don't open the door. I don't just go, let me get my gun and shoot them.
Yeah.
Why does everybody act like a Karen and think everybody's out to get them? Why is that the mentality?
Well, we have a lot of fear mongering in our media. I think we live in an area where this is
everybody. Dori is nodding for all of the audience who can't see us, which is everybody.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm not sleeping. I'm
kidding.
I'm
actively
listening. I'm actively listening.
I just don't want to be the only. Yes, I was worried that I was the only vocal person about this, but I just hate these white entitled people.
Oh no! Sometimes I talk a lot on the podcast, so I wanted to really just listen.
You wanted to listen. You wanted to give.
We
all right,
call
so
it in
John,
my field empathic listening, Dori. Thank you.
Yes, I really felt it. Okay, whatever.
I felt your support.
No, I wanted everybody to know you supported me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go.
My point that I was getting at is that we live in a world right now where fear mongering is just the elixir for the media. It's like, this is what we gobble up news about, bad things. And we live in the epicenter of that. The Chicago area gets such bad publicity over, it's shooting, the crime ridden. And it's a wonderful place to live. It's a great place to live, and there's so many things to do, and so culturally enriched. And yet, around the country, as I meet with people around the country in my work, you're from Chicago. How is it? Is it safe? And I go, yeah. I mean, it's a great place to visit, etc. And we have like 1 million visitors each year to Chicago, but we love to hear about, how fearful it is. And Susan was a victim of this, probably. It just fueled her anger and her bitterness and the psych issues that she had that led to all this. It's
So where does this so she's in prison for quite a while, right? Like she's
right. And by the way, can I add?
Yeah.
Didn't she look much better?
She was in prison.
When
John,
she
do
was in
you have a
prison?
crush on Susan? Wait, are
No,
you
no,
saying
no.
that Susan?
I'm not saying she's
Wait, are you
Dori
saying
hot.
prison Susan is hot? Because maybe pre-prison Susan was not to your liking, but prison Susan maybe.
This is
right up
reminding me, Dori, this is reminding me of prison Warren Jeffs, because John said he thought Warren Jeffs got better looking.
True. Dr. John may have a thing for those in
For
prison.
inmates. For inmates.
I wonder if Warren Jeffs and Susan have met.
So wait, but I do, but getting back to this, so she's in the terrible thing is, so AJ she is dead, so the mother is dead, and this is just recently that this you said 2023, right? So
yes, 2 years ago.
2025. So Susan is still in prison, and she's in prison for a while. I wonder what the community is like now. I'm just curious, like
Me
what.
Too.
Well, I would love to see a follow-up of how everybody is doing, how like maybe after 4 or 5 years, how the kids are doing.
Like where are they now?
Yeah.
Maybe that could be an Alex Flaster documentary.
Oh, an Alex Flaster production.
Yes.
By the way, note, Dori, so the sentencing was on November 25th, 2024, a little over a year ago.
Okay.
So that was the closure, November 25th of 2024. So this is very hot off the press, and I agree with the sentencing. Sometimes I look at some of those sentences and go, I don't think that's enough. Someone died, and you're getting 25 years, and who knows what probation or parole will be offered to this woman. By the way, I think another interesting point of the documentary, it's maybe a touch of a tangent, but when they were actually charging her with the crime, how she was just about resisting arrest. She wouldn't get off the chair.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
that not getting off the chair. They're like, you're going to get off the chair whether we want you to or not. You can't stay in this chair. And you could see her sort of like realizing that the minute she got out of that chair, it was over.
Susan? All right, we're going to have you go with this deputy here.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No what?
I can't.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we're to that point where that's what's going to happen. Obviously, this isn't a conviction. This is you being charged, and then you're going to have your day in court to present your side of the story. Okay, so you're going to go with this deputy.
No, I'm not.
You're going to be booked in.
No, I'm not.
And fingerprinted.
No.
They're going to take your pictures, and then you'll have an arraignment in the morning.
I'm not going to. Sorry.
There's a phone down there. You'll be able to call whoever you need to call, right there in booking.
I'm not going.
But Susan, we are going. There's no change in that now. You're under arrest. In fact, we can probably go ahead and put handcuffs on her. Let's get you handcuffed.
No.
Stand up.
No, don't touch me.
Susan.
Stand up, Susan.
No.
Listen.
Sorry, I can't.
It can go one of two ways. It can go an easy way or it can go a really hard way.
I'm sorry.
We don't want it to go the hard way.
I'm so sorry.
Susan, put yourself in our position. There's no choice in this. You're going over there.
I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Susan, you understand that from the point of the story that you've given us, that by refusing and resisting, that it's making you look bad, okay? And I understand your reluctance to want to go.
Good. I just can't do
Okay,
this.
well, they have medical staff over there that can assist you.
There's a nurse right in the front.
They can. You give them the prescription medications that you're taking, all that. They will assist you in making sure that you get the care you need.
No,
but
I can't.
We're going over there, okay? You're going to go over there.
I just can't do this.
Okay. Well.
Come on, Susan, stand up.
If
we don't have time to debate.
I can't do this.
Okay, but do you understand that you're under arrest and you're going to be taken to the jail one way or another, okay?
I don't care.
Susan?
I just can't do this. I'm sorry.
I don't. What you're saying and doing right now is not reasonable.
I know it's not
There's been
reasonable, but I
people.
just can't do this.
So when you say it's not reasonable, that doesn't make sense to me.
I understand. I just can't do this. I'm sorry.
Okay. Then this is why we're in this position here, Susan, is because the decisions you make are not reasonable. You make just like what we're experiencing right now.
I'm sorry. I just can't do this. I can't do this.
I've had people sit in this chair that have done things, and they get up, they walk out on their own accord. They've done some really bad things. Okay, you're not the only person, but I need you to.
I just feel horrible. I can't do this.
Okay, well, we're gonna go to the jail. There's no changing this. There's no stopping it.
I don't care. Kill me.
We're not gonna kill anybody. We're going to take you to the jail. We'd rather you walk on your own. We'd rather you just walk down there. It'd be so much better for everybody if we could just walk down there.
Can you just stand up for me?
No.
So what do you plan on sitting here the rest of the night?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna die of a heart attack.
Well, like I said, they have medical staff over there. We want to be able to get you over there.
The quicker we get you over there, the quicker someone over there that's in medical can see you.
No, I just can't do
Susan, this is what's going to happen. We're going to put you in handcuffs, and if we have to forcefully bring you out there, that's what we have to do, because we are obligated
I really don't want
to take you to the jail now, okay?
Thank you for standing up.
I understand that.
So, put your hands behind your back for me.
Thank you, Susan.
I didn't do this on purpose. This wasn't a purposeful act. I did not premeditate it. I didn't do anything like that. This is ridiculous.
What is your thinking of that, Doctor, about somebody who, if she does have mental issues, and I guess it's a whole other tangent about prison or going to, or getting like more like psych help, assistance, because she didn't show a ton of emotion when she was getting interviewed by the police, when she was arrested.
I agree.
I was just going to go there, Dori. I was going to say to both of you, did you notice her affect?
Yes.
All this.
Weird.
It was like flat. We call it flat.
Flat.
Even at the sentencing. At the sentencing, if our audience could see us, if you could see me, she kind of shrugged and went, all right, okay.
All right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It was like, which is psychologically important in any diagnosis that we'd probably give. This woman had psych problems. And a flat affect is one of the key indicators of some deeper psychological issues, which this woman clearly showed throughout the whole thing.
Was it a personality disorder?
Probably.
Which
Again,
one would you
I
assign
can't
to
diagnose on our broadcast, but
right.
Certainly. But this flat affect is super, super important in diagnosing people with.
So then does she just go to prison and just sit in prison, or does she get like psych help while she's in prison? What do you think about that?
That's a roll of the dice, Stacey. In my experience, very few prisons.
That was Dori that said that, not Stacey.
I'm sorry.
Because when John talks, sometimes John is looking up at the ceiling when he discusses things. So just so you all know, that was a Dori question, but okay. Please continue.
A Dori question.
I'll take it. I don't care about being compared to Dori. That's flattering.
It is flattering. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when I'm looking out into distance here.
Yeah.
Now I forgot the question.
If she does go to prison, and just her and other people that are committed of these crimes, and because of what you're saying, she does have a flat reaction, so there could be psychological issues. Will she get help, or do you think she'll just sit in prison and not?
Most probably just sit in prison and get no help. That's the sadness of our prison system in the U.S. is that we're really not rehabilitating people. We're just containing them and controlling them. But there are rare instances where people do get help. I mean, there's a lot of programs out there throughout the country where psychologists, social workers in training do make visits to prisons and give some therapy. But, look who that is. It's students and and people in training, etc. There's some religious organizations. There was a famous Catholic nun who would go to prisons. I forget her name right now.
Oh, they did the movie on her.
Yeah. Who would go to
Which movie?
To death
the
row.
Susan Sarandon movie.
Yeah.
She was the nut with Sean Penn, right? Is that who we're talking about?
Yep. And she was famous for visiting prisoners on death row and helping them, etc. But the sad thing is that she probably, will not get help. Is as good looking as Warren Jeffs and Susan Lawrence looks being in prison, they're really not getting any mental help.
Dr. John has a type, ladies and gentlemen. I think on that note, I think we should end on that note, because really it leaves the listeners with truly something to really go on, with Dr. John having his type, which is inmates, just inmates in general.
I spend enough time with them. Maybe there's some, occupational hazard. Well, it is time. So
yeah, I mean, let me just end with one other thought, because I've been thinking about this and I didn't want to interrupt. I find it to be sad that we have all these people out there who are, pedophiles and rapists, and they're in prison, or murderers and they're in prison. I'm not talking about like drug addicts but that don't, or maybe I am talking about drug addicts. I'm talking about everybody. There's no help to help rehabilitate, like you were saying. I know you've already said this, but there's no help. There's no, somebody who was working at a theater was fired because there was inappropriate behavior, fired and just left. And there's no idea, like, instead of firing him, let's get him some help so that he can come back and have a job. I just don't understand what our point of anything is. We put these people in prison and then they're being abused and, sometimes killed, or I just think it's awful.
Well, and I know you said that you wanted that to be the last comment, but let me just jump on that very briefly, and we can talk about it in another broadcast. Sadly, that's the state of my field. I mean, I've been in this long enough to see the evolution of mental health care go from almost zero to when I first started to we've had somewhat of a boom time in these last couple years, especially as a result of COVID. We might be in the heyday of mental health care, but we still have a long way to go for situations like this to understand that these people are troubled and need help.
Hey, audience, can you suggest topics for our show? Do you have any ideas? If you do, please email us at info@podcandypodcast.com. Support Podcandy. If you love our podcast, consider donating any amount to buymeacoffee.com/podcandy. Every bit helps us keep creating the true crime, cult, and pop culture stories you can't stop listening to.
So people can buy us a cup of coffee?
Thank you to everyone for listening. On our next episode, we may be discussing a cult or a crime. Our theme music is written and performed by Midnight Current, and you can hear more from them on SoundCloud. Please visit podcandypodcast.com to learn more about us and listen to all of our episodes, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much.
Pod Candy!